Hi guys, my name's George and I keep a variety of different tanks here in my college dorm room, but today we're going to be talking about my piranha tank. For those of you that didn't watch my last video, I got these red belly piranhas. I need to find them a new home because even within 1 week, these things have grown. Piranhas grow really fast, and as badly as I want to keep them, I know a lot of you guys want me to keep them as well. I just don't feel right about giving them a home without the proper amount of space. But before I get rid of them, I do want to clear up a lot of misconceptions that people have about these fish. I'm going to be sharing some tips about caring for piranhas that I haven't seen any other videos mention yet. So the stuff in the beginning you might already know, but there could be some nuggets for you in this video if you're interested in keeping piranhas. This is the truth about keeping piranhas. I want to start by stating this. Piranhas are very hard to describe. What I mean is, like, they're very hard to teach people about. Why? Because the way they act and behave in the wild is sort of different than the way they might act in your home aquarium. There's so many conflicting arguments from piranha people online. Sorry, didn't mean to like group you all in a box like piranha people. I'm a piranha person as well. Imagine all the people. So anyways, because there's so many different types of piranhas, I think there's over like close to 60 different species, 25 of which come from the Amazon. So just understand that based on what's going on in your tank, they might react and behave differently than the way other piranha keepers keep them. I'm going to be focusing on the piranhas that I have here, red belly piranhas. These are the most commonly sold piranhas for aquariums. Let's start with misconception number 1. Hollywood has given these fish the reputation of being flesh-eating monsters. This is mostly a myth. Now, even I'm guilty of using piranhas for clickbait and fun video ideas. I mean, come on, it's hard to resist. But I say that it's mostly a myth because piranhas are aggressive. They do have sharp teeth, and in the wild, animals that are aggressive and sharp teeth usually is a recipe for yum, 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 delicioso if they come into contact with a potential meal. However, in your home aquariums, for the most part, piranhas are harmless. Your pet piranhas will not eat you. In fact, home aquarium piranhas tend to be really skittish and like to hide a lot. This is why you'll see a lot of people say they're boring. Now, I don't think they're a boring fish to keep. I haven't even been keeping them very long, but I honestly think they're one of the most interesting and coolest fish that I've ever kept. However, they do hide a lot, so I can understand why people who have had them for, over a year might think that they are a bit boring. A lot of times my red bellies will like hide under the jungle leaves, and you won't even see them for hours at a time because they're just like hiding under there. A lot of people want to show off their prized piranhas with really bright lights on their tank, and I get it, but that's not what these fish like. In the wild, they live in calm and dark Amazonian rivers. So try to mimic that with plenty of leafy plants for them to hide in, and you can use almond leaves, which will release tannins in the water to create that perfect murky effect. As you can see, I don't have a light on this tank for that reason. Usually when you put your hand in the tank to do water changes, they stay away or they go hide. And they will literally freak out if you make sudden movements around the tank. I haven't been like watching, but they've probably been going nuts because I like to talk with my hand. Mamma mia, piranha. What's really interesting about piranhas is their diet and how it varies among all the different species. Everyone thinks that they're carnivorous and, they only want like human fingers and cows and stuff like that. Some piranhas, like the red bellies, are carnivores, but a lot of piranhas are omnivorous and eat more seeds than they do meat. Some species of piranhas are even vegetarian. Not sure on the status of vegan piranhas. The red belly piranha is an opportunistic omnivore and will eat a wide variety of things, including fish, insects, crustaceans, and plants. One of the most fun parts about having these piranhas is definitely feeding them. They are very aggressive and messy eaters. I've been feeding my piranhas this SR Aquaristic Premium Flake Fish Food. I got it for them because it's literally says right on here, excellent source of protein. And so far, these guys have been loving it. So again, red bellies eat insects, so I'll give them live mealworms from time to time. You can also feed them small live like feeder fish. I'm not gonna do that right now because I'm not in the mood to get demonetized. But almost any type of food that you put in there, these red bellies are gonna devour. Keep that in mind for tank mates. You're not gonna want to make it a community tank. You're gonna want to give them their own tank. Also, it's not really ideal to feed them live foods all the time because it does put a large pollution load on the tank. Pro tip: diseases in any live fish or crustaceans or insects that you give the fish can be passed on to them. If you have a lot of aquariums like me, and say, you know, one of your little fish dies or something, and you're just like, oh, like, no problem, I'll just feed it to the piranhas. Be careful, because if that fish has a disease, it could get passed on to the piranha when it eats it. Now, here's a fun fact about piranhas. Researchers say that the real reason that they like to live in groups is not so that they can hunt, it's more for their own protection and safety. So what does this say about how many red belly piranhas or how many piranhas you should keep in your aquarium? Now, piranhas can be kept singularly, but red bellies are one of the few that can actually be kept in groups. Among all the species, red bellies are the only that can school successfully for the entirety of their lifespan. If you want to keep just one or two, also totally okay. You don't need to keep them in groups, but I highly recommend you do so because these apprehensive fish will become less timid if you keep them in groups of 4 or more. Since I only have a few, they're always hiding. You could say that the fish technically prefers to live in groups. Groups of piranhas require much larger tanks, but be warned that even in an established group, aggression and cannibalism are not unusual. So one thing that I haven't seen mentioned anywhere else, that when you're buying piranhas, you want to make sure that they're all relatively the same size. If one is like bigger or smaller than the others, they won't school and they'll actually pick on each other. Misconception number 3 is why they're illegal.
The actual reason they're illegal in so many different states is because the government doesn't want them infesting the local waters.
People a lot of times buy these as pets because they want a really tough and mean fish that everyone knows what they are. You know, I think that's okay. A lot of people get mad about that, but honestly, I think it's, if anything, a way of entry for a lot of people into the hobby. A lot of people do end up moving on from piranhas because they either do get bored of them or they want to keep other fish. But it's also human nature. Like, just like when, you know, Finding Nemo came out, the sale of clownfish and aquariums in general went up. It's the same. When the piranha movies came out, you know, everybody wanted piranhas. Like, if you are going to get piranhas, just be aware of their aggressive nature, that they do have sharp teeth, and, you know, take the precautions to make sure it doesn't eat your finger. Keeping them well fed is probably the best way of keeping them mellow. So ultimately, guys, piranhas, they make really cool fish for aquariums. Like, I dig them. And if you want to get them, you should do it. You know, having people over, showing them off, I think that's totally fine as long as you have a deeper respect for the animal, you understand its care requirements, and you're willing to meet those. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Remember to keep those nitrates low. George, out.